Good morning, everybody, from fyntv.com. This is George McClellan setting in half for BKP, who's on another assignment for today's news hour and our exploration into politics, national, international politics. We still have a problem. There's so much news to talk about. The Clinton is Hillary Clinton campaign, is it rising, is it falling? Are people getting weary of the constant lies that come out of there? If you watch TV, regular broadcast TV or internet, you see interviews of Josh Earnest. I wonder if that man sleeps at night for the lies he spins and tells on behalf of the Obama administration. Absolutely unimaginable that man can even sleep at night or has a conscience. And then now comes Anthony Weiner. God, what an apt name. And I'm going to refer to something as the Weiner effect. Weiner is obviously a sexual deviant, and he cannot control himself. He absolutely cannot control himself, and he allows himself, or has allowed himself, whether by miscarriage or accident or on purpose, to have somebody take pictures of him that he was broadcasting on the internet, and now he is compromised beyond all means. His child will probably be taken away from him by the state of New York. But the Weiner effect is that little tiny gene in your brain that says, I can't let go. Just like our elite Republicans who will refuse to support Donald Trump, the candidate. They just can't let go of the old ways. Well, they're going to be in for a big surprise. They are going to have to let go because there's a change coming, and they better get on the boat because they're going to miss it. And I think from what I see now and read, I believe that the polls show that McCain, that old fool, is going to probably win in Arizona in the primary today over the Republican challenger, Tea Partier. The other states look like it's going to stay Republican, and the Senate's going to stay Republican. So I predict if Hillary Clinton should win the White House, that we will witness 4 years of political turmoil, lawsuits, and nothing will be accomplished by Congress. They will waste money, they will waste time, but they will, if it remains Republican, they will stop everything that goes through from the Clinton machine, the administration. That being said, if Trump wins, and I expect he will, and I think he's going to win probably handily, far more than the pundits seem to think, because there's a vast array of people out there who are starting to realize the crap that comes out of the Clinton administration, Obama's administration, those people, and Trump is telling the truth. He just stands up there and tells it like it is. He might be unpolished, but I don't think so. I think, this man has run not only a business empire, but television shows, and he has a notoriety of saying the truth and just saying it out loud, whether it's politically correct or not. You're fired. Simple as that. He will surround himself with people that can get the job done. And if they can't do the job that he expects them to do, well, they'll be fired, and he'll find somebody who can do it. He is not a misogynist. He is not anti-women. Half of the executives in his organizations are female. So, and they get paid top dollar. So he pays for what he gets, and he gets the best, and he will have the best. And you can guarantee it. I'm almost certain that will be the case. Right now we have the problem of the two Americas. 13% of the America is black, and there's a great percentage of them that are now Latino, and a small percentage that are Syrians, that Obama's moving in here in vast numbers, despite the law. The law says it cannot be done. It's illegal to even entertain a Muslim in the Quran in America, because it's unethical to America's Constitution. However, the black problem. We saw a shooting in Milwaukee last week where a policeman shot a black man and killed him in a confrontation. There would have been no confrontation if the black man had simply taken his ticket or been arrested for the felonies that warrants that he was wanted for, but he chose to run, and then he chose to pull a pistol and point it at a policeman who himself was black, and that policeman was a better shot and dropped the fellow, and too bad for him. So we have a black on black. One's a criminal, one's a cop. That news didn't end up in riots in Milwaukee. People are not burning down their cities. Why is it? Why is that not happening? Because the media is not there reporting it. And the media just reports what only helps the Democrat Party. Simple as that. The media only reports what helps the Democrat Party. That thing will die. Baltimore just had its 200th murder. And it was not a gun, it was a stabbing. It's 200th murder this year, and we still got 3 or 4 months to go. So good record for Baltimore. Chicago, I can't keep track of Chicago's record. But the thing is, the black on black killing is not newsworthy because it does not help the Democrat Party. A white on black killing is an entirely different thing. But a black on black killing makes no difference. Perennial problems with racial relations were exacerbated by Obama himself, particularly after Ferguson and Baltimore with his comments. But the question is asked, can you think of any way to solve the racial problems in America? The ritual, the chantings about racism, discrimination, white privilege, are becoming ritual now. And that doesn't offer a solution. All that does is just people shouting at one another. Incredibly, when a black mob hollers out, "Kill Whitey," why is that not a hate crime? The Democrats have put hate crimes on the books, which is a thought control process. Of course, it's unconstitutional, but it's still on the books as a crime that you can be charged for, or an added crime that can go to another crime that you may have done. But if you express hate for any group or person, well, then that's a hate crime. They can't have that. That's simply not allowed. But is it racist to call out, "Kill Whitey"? You never hear anybody holler out, "Kill Blackie," and it doesn't happen. Neither is documenting the intense racism of blacks themselves, the interracial rape ratios and crime and low scores on promotional examinations. All of this. The worst thing that ever happened to our American government was the imposition of affirmative action. It was imposed. It was absolutely imposed. And now we see the fruits of that program with the VA administration. You go into a VA hospital or call them on the phone and try to determine if you're talking to somebody who speaks English. It just doesn't happen. With the experience in our family has been exactly that. And you try to get something intelligent out of somebody sitting at a desk whose only job is to answer the phone once a week, and you'll be surprised at what happens. The federal government, if blacks make up 13% of the population, they make up 60% of the employees, at least the lower level employees in the federal government, the ones who are supposed to get things done. Now, there's a lot of blacks who have escaped that plantation, and I know them. I know Kane, Herman Cain. We have right here in our town a wonderful fellow, Terry Ellis, an entrepreneur, wonderful guy. He gets things done. And there's K. Carl Smith in Alabama, who is a Frederick Douglass Republican. Derek Grayson, who ran for the Senate twice. Good men all, good men all. And I don't disparage the black race, but as a whole, they cannot seem to, or do not seem to want to get out of that plantation that they're in. And so this is a discussion that will have to be, it'll have to come out regardless of people pointing fingers and saying you're a racist. I'm not a racist, I'm an American, and I want to bring them along. That's what America is all about. I don't care what color a guy is. If he has a job, raises a family, and is not dealing drugs and robbing 7-Eleven stores, he's my type of guy. He is my type of guy. But we've got more news too, and there'll be more on that. I'll talk more about that on another time. Opinions from other news sources I like to talk about. Borders are not the worst invention ever. Now we have an official in the EU claiming that borders are the worst invention that ever happened. There should be no borders, and the world should be allowed to just come and go as it wishes, where it wants. And so you'll have, of course, that theory will mean that there will be a diminution of cultures. And what will we have? We'll have everything will sink, always sinks to sea level or the lowest common denominator. And so culture will disappear. Rap music will replace Mozart and Beethoven and Johann Strauss. We will see fairy dances by nutcases replacing the ballet. No. Borders protect cultures. Cultures need to exist and grow within the confines of their country. Now, America was built, explored, and developed by white Europeans. Africans were brought here as slaves. That's part of history, can't be denied. But they're now emancipated and have been for over 100 years. But now, white culture is under assault. Whether they say so or not, that's exactly what's happening. The white culture is under assault. And it is particularly egregious in our schools, who teach history rewritten to include things and people that didn't happen. If you look at the movies now, there's a new remake of Magnificent Seven out, and the leader is a black guy. Well, maybe, but I bet you that movie doesn't make any money because nobody believes that. I do a lot of American history study, particularly of that period, and I can tell you that there were a lot of black men who were in the fur trading business, the hunters and the trappers. And Jim Beckworth is one. In the outlaw days, a few years after the fur trading days, there were other black men who made names for themselves. But everybody left them alone or whatever. But they are a part of the history and they can't be denied. But to deny history and rewrite it to make everybody look the same, for multiculturalism and diversity, two words that I really hate, except for the fact that they show me who the enemy is, then we have Hollywood telling us how to think. And we have Hollywood supported by large money donors, the George Soroses of the world, who want to change the culture. They want to change the culture. And anyway, we got to be aware of that and just realize that's what's happening and why we're having so many arguments and why every time a black man steps up, well, that's not exactly the point I want to make. So I mentioned George Soros. George Soros is funding races, political races in several states in America, supporting black and Latino candidates for attorney generals in those states. And why is he doing that? Because they're telling us that whites get a lesser sentence for an equal crime that a black commits. I haven't seen evidence of that. They claim it's there. But so the law should be, everybody gets the same thing regardless whether you're rich, poor, white, black, green, yellow, brown, whatever, everybody gets exactly the same sentence for a crime they commit. How's that going to work? Whenever case that goes before a trial has its own peculiarities to it, and it has to be judged by a jury. So these things are facing us now. This election coming up, I read here where it says it's the resentment election. Some presidential elections are fueled by fear, others by hope and gratitude. Obama's first election was hope and gratitude. His second election was fear, and this one is now fear. Now, Hillary Clinton's positives are so low that normally she would never have a chance to be elected president. But the press is telling us that Trump's are so low that we should fear so we don't fear that he should become president, and Hillary should. So we are in the strangest election cycle I've ever experienced in my life. Only a relative few workers are actually marching door to door this year, inspired either by Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump's candidacy. Quite a few are campaigning because they are very, very ticked off at one thing or another, or many things. But after the election, there will be a pressing problem for serious people to tackle. And if it's Hillary as president, the whole government will be wrapped up in lawsuits. Nothing will ever get done. And the Congress will pass nothing for it. Imagine a six-member court, a Supreme Court, because they're not going to pass anybody who does not meet their qualifications. Certainly Hillary's picks. I just predict that because it's common sense. Welfare reform. Remember when Bill Clinton signed a welfare reform bill into law 20 years ago? That was last week, by the way. Everybody cheered how wonderful that bill was. That was a Republican bill. That was a Republican bill, and the Republicans made Bill Clinton sign it, but he gets credit for it. We understand that. It is widely regarded as having succeeded in reducing poverty and dependence on government. And even from my perspective, I agree that it did. And I saw a lot of interviews where women, particularly single mothers, actually got jobs and started earning money for their families. President Obama used the Bush Great Recession as a pretext to weaken some of those welfare reforms. He stopped, if you might recall, he stopped the schools in Washington, D.C., refused to fund them, the charter schools for black kids. Several states have taken steps to reduce dependence. For example, by requiring food stamp recipients to work in order to receive benefits. Welfare programs work when they are a hand up, not a handout. They use society's great wealth to prevent the worst from happening to the less fortunate. But for the able-bodied, welfare should be a temporary support. It was never intended to be a way of life. And welfare reform has helped make it so far fewer people need it than once did. Well, another thing they can do to reduce welfare is to prohibit stamps, welfare stamps, or tickets or credit cards to be used to purchase anything but bulk beans, rice, potatoes, essential products, flour. You can't buy frozen pizzas, and you can't buy candy and beer and wine and whiskey using my dollars, your dollars. Well, it's time for a little break here. My throat is breaking up. If I can get a bucket of water, I'll have a glass. So we'll go to a break and see you back here in a couple of minutes.
Now at Pizza Hut, you can get any 2 medium pizzas for $6.99 each. Get any toppings, any crust flavor, anything you want for just $6.99 each. And sweeten the deal with a Hershey's Triple Chocolate Brownie for just $5.99. Only at Pizza Hut.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds. Come on in to view the area's largest selection of fine jewelry at North Georgia Diamond. All repairs and designs are done on-site by our jewelers. And North Georgia Diamond has the lowest prices on loose diamonds. You can also sell your gold, silver, and coins at North Georgia Diamond between Walmart and Lowe's in East Ellijay. Locally owned by Bill and Allison Craig, North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
What you gonna do with all that junk?
The summer sell down is on at Days Chevrolet in Jasper with huge savings up to 16% off MSRP. Save over $4,100 off Malibu Limited, now just $19,500. Save $9,500 on loaded Silverado Crew Cab LT, now only $38,700. Save up to 16% off MSRP on select new Chevys in stock during the summer sell down. Going on now at Days Chevrolet in Jasper.
Better days ahead, Days Chevrolet.
Find new roads.
El Rey in Ellijay.
El Rey Mexican Restaurant.
Family owned and operated and a local favorite for families, parties, and meetings.
Great prices.
Friendly service and delicious Mexican cuisine.
Patio dining available.
Come sing in Carlos's Cantina every Friday 9 to 1.
Eat in or take away.
Same location for 14 years. Open 7 days at the corner of Maddox Drive and 515. North Georgia's favorite Mexican cuisine. El Rey in Ellijay.
I'm Sheriff Dane Kirby, and I'll stand up for you.
I'm Stacy Nicholson, Sheriff of Gilmer County, and I will stand up for you.
Stand up and speak out. No matter how rich, cool, talented you believe yourself to be, how you treat people ultimately tells all. I am Allison Sosby, District Attorney, and I'll stand up for you.
Oh, good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Good Morning from the Office. This is George McClellan, your beloved host for the day, sitting in for BKP. And to carry on with what we were talking about, there's some news items here that are important. One of them is if you're watching on computer, and I know you are, when this is over, go to look up Representative Michael McCall, M-C-C-A-U-L. He is a Republican and chairman of the House Homeland Security Committee. He reports that 40% of all ISIS attacks are directed towards the United States in the world. And he has put forward a new national security agenda, which he calls, quote, a better way. I recommend you look it up, and we'll talk about it one of these days as an important facet to combating Islamic terrorism. I also see that a news in the headline says that human head transplant has a 90% chance. That's on the Drudge Report. I don't think it does. And for this reason, the only person ever capable of transplanting a human head died yesterday, Gene Wilder. So a beloved comedian, Willy Wonka, young Frankenstein, what he did with a human head is just unbelievable. So I don't think that that's going to happen. I just thought I would say that. And also I'd like to point out that the University of Chicago has done away with the trigger warnings and safe spaces for weaklings who can't face reality. I mean, somebody wrote, Trump for president in chalk on the sidewalks at the Emory University, and all the weaklings went nuts, and they scrambled for their safe room so they could cower in fear. This university is changing that. They're not going to fire, they're not going to disinvite invited speakers. If you like it, come on and do it. And listen, if you don't, stay away. But everybody's going to be open to education, which is what their main goal is. I remember the fellow who drew the Little Abner cartoons. And now some of you new people won't remember Little Abner, but he was often a guest speaker at commencements and student unions and things like that, because he had a political bent, and it showed up in his cartoons, Little Abner. But anyway, one day, even before he got, or after he finished his lecture, and it was the question and answer session, some long-haired maggot, and I'm talking about back in the 60s, he got up and in a barrage of profanity and name-calling and finger-pointing, he just filled the air for 5 minutes and then sat down. And the speaker looked at him and said, well, fine. Now that you've told us your name, what is your question? Of course, the house came down. Everybody roared with laughter, and this fellow had to slink out. That's the way you attack these people, or counterattack them, is with ridicule and humor. I love it. I love it. It worked very good. So anyway, the University of Chicago was telling incoming freshmen that will not provide trigger warnings or safe spaces. It will not disinvite speakers with whom students disagree, because students can't live in a bubble surrounded by people and ideas they like. Our Monday editorial argues, if a college were to send someone into the world after that, that person would be wholly unprepared for reality. And we all know that. We grew up as children knowing that. We had our little part-time jobs that taught us responsibility, taught us timeliness, taught us that other people expect us to produce something worthwhile. And if we couldn't do it, we didn't get paid, we got fired. And now these people don't understand that because they're not being taught that. Minimum wage is crawling to a point where nobody has jobs. The jobs you and I had as kids are gone at $2 or $3 an hour. That where we learned. Now they just sit on their stoops and smoke dope. So that's not going to happen. Our news is interesting. We will not discuss Anthony Weiner anymore. He's gone. But there is another international summit coming up called the G20 Summit, and their object now is to deal with the rising tide of anti-globalism, the New World Order, the world without borders, where anybody and everybody can live wherever they want. And they're saying they need to perfect their plan they're going to present to us. You want to see the plan? It's on the internet. It's called Agenda 21, and it was produced by the United Nations. And we see manifestations of it very slowly encroaching in our local politics. Georgia's been divided up into districts. There's a district over in Rome, and these are politicians who one day will be telling our county people what they can and cannot do, but these are people we don't even know their names of, and we certainly haven't elected them. And they will have a taxing authority when that's unconstitutional. So we've got to stay apprised of what's happening in our country. We got to know what these people are trying to do and get away with. No longer can we just trust politicians. And as a matter of fact, that business with the FBI, Director Comey, telling us all the reasons, all the valid reasons why Hillary Clinton should be in prison, or at least indicted, and then throwing out the fact that they're not going to charge her because they couldn't prove intent, which is not necessary in these crimes, has done more to damage the fabric of trust in this country than anything I can think of. I think that man, they have something on that man. And you look at his career pattern, you'll see that he was assistant U.S. attorney, but we also see that he was involved as an attorney in the Clinton businesses and other places earlier on when he was younger. And so there's a direct, Clintons don't hire anybody without having a hold on them. So there's something hidden in Director Comey's past that now is revealed. He did not recommend prosecution. And the problem, and so we know that this creature is going to be, she might be elected president of the United States. But now we get to another thing. There's health care issues that this woman has. There's a very good site that shows her doing several physical things associated with neurological problems. She did receive a bump on the head. Apparently it was a serious bump. I know that for a long time, even when she gave evidence to the Congressional Committee, Trey Gowdy's Congressional Committee, that she wore these thick glasses, looked like the bottoms of Coke bottles knocked out, you know what I mean? And she is going through displaying neurological symptoms that suggest she might even be a sufferer of Parkinson's disease. There's a lot of medical doctors now who actually are being interviewed and are saying that. And those little stories are available. So, you know, we got to be careful. If she makes it to the presidency and then has a medical problem that requires her to either die or quit, that leaves Tim Kaine. And Tim Kaine's a failed governor. No one ever heard of him. So, you know, is our politics just like dust in the wind? Wherever it settles, that's what we settle for. We have a constitution that we're supposed to obey, and if we obey it, we follow the laws, and everything works out. But when people like the Clintons twist the laws for their own self-enrichment and their own power, then our Constitution is not doing its job. But we're not doing our job by not protecting that Constitution, not insisting that it be observed. Now, these liberals, they'll say, well, what the heck? Constitution's an old piece of paper, it's out of date. Well, I don't think it's out of date. It's perfectly written for what we're doing right here, right now. Of course, electrons, media, the concern of electronic data, these little cell phones does it change the Fourth Amendment? No, it makes the Fourth Amendment more ponderous in execution. These things, you can use bleach. What is it, Lonnie? A bleach app to dump everything in the world that you don't want anybody to know. But, you know, that's the way the game's played. And back when I was a policeman, years ago, we didn't have these things. We had to go get a warrant if we wanted to search. The only time we could search an automobile is if the person gave us a permission to do it. If he said no, well, then that was the end of that. But today, if you tell a policeman no, half the time they'll call the sergeant over and threaten to haul you away. Well, then there's another violation, because they'll search the car because you're arrested. They will impound the car and search it to make sure, so they can have a list of everything that's in it. That's fair enough. If I arrested a drunk driver, I would search his car. If I arrested an armed robber, I would search his car. Happened to me many times in my career as a highway patrolman. But under those circumstances, you don't need a warrant. But if I wanted to go to somebody's house, I better have a warrant. And the Constitution specifically tells us that it has to be designate what you're looking for, the place you're looking for at, and supported by oath or affirmation. In other words, you just can't say, well, I think he's got drugs, and go search in his house. I'll give you a good example. If you're looking for a stolen airplane, you're not going to find it in somebody's house. You're going to find it in a hangar somewhere. So if you're looking for a stolen television, you're probably not going to find it in the attic. So you've got those were rules that absolutely governed our conduct of a search warrant with a search with a warrant. So anyway, we're there, and it's time for another little news break, or a little. Well, we got to feed the pig. That's what it's time to make some money. So let's go gather some lucre.
Right now at Pizza Hut, you can get any 2 medium pizzas for $6.99 each. Get any toppings, any crust flavor, anything you want for just $6.99 each. And sweeten the deal with a Hershey's Triple Chocolate Brownie for just $5.99. Only at Pizza Hut.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds. Come on in to view the area's largest selection of fine jewelry at North Georgia Diamond. All repairs and designs are done on site by our jewelers. And North Georgia Diamond has the lowest prices on loose diamonds. You can also sell your gold, silver, and coins at North Georgia Diamond between Walmart and Lowe's in East Ellijay. Locally owned by Bill and Allison Craig, North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
What you gonna do with all that junk?
Better days ahead.
The summer sell down is on at Days Chevrolet in Jasper with huge savings up to 16% off MSRP. Save over $4,100 off Malibu Limited. Now just $19,500. Save $9,500 on loaded Silverado Crew Cab LT. Now only $38,700. Save up to 16% off MSRP on select new Chevys in stock during the summer sell down. Going on now at Days Chevrolet in Jasper.
Better days ahead. Days Chevrolet.
Find new roads.
El Rey in Ellijay.
El Rey Mexican Restaurant.
Family owned and operated and a local favorite for families, parties, and meetings.
Great prices.
Friendly service and delicious Mexican cuisine.
Patio dining available.
Come sing in Carlos's Cantina every Friday 9 to 1.
Eat in or take away.
Same location for 14 years. Open 7 days at the corner of Maddox Drive and 515. North Georgia's favorite Mexican cuisine. El Rey in Ellijay.
I'm Sheriff Dane Kirby, and I'll stand up for you.
I'm Stacy Nicholson, Sheriff of Gilmer County, and I will stand up for you.
Stand up and speak out. No matter how rich, cool, talented you believe yourself to be, how you treat people ultimately tells all. I am Allison Sosby, District Attorney, and I'll stand up for you.
Well, good morning again. Thank you, and welcome back to Good Morning from the office. George McClellan sitting in for BKP here. Last week, we're going to talk about the Clinton Foundation. The big news is the Clinton Foundation. Last week, former Pennsylvania Governor Ed Rendell, a close Clinton ally, caused a stir when he suggested that if Hillary Clinton wins the presidency, the foundation, formerly named the Bill, Hillary, and Chelsea Clinton Foundation, would have to be disbanded. Whoa, it ain't going to happen. He said, I know it'll be hard for President Bill Clinton because he cares very deeply about what the foundation has done, and the women who work there, of course. Rendell told the New York Daily News, it is impossible to keep the foundation open without at least the appearance of a problem. He's put his finger on the problem right there. The appearance of a problem to which Rendell refers is presumably the fact that foreign governments and foreign citizens could give unlimited amounts of money to the foundation, a violation of the Foreign Government Corruption Act, by the way. donations that would look like bribes to skeptical outside observers. The Clinton defenders quickly point out that Bill, Hillary, and Chelsea do not collect salaries from the foundation and thus do not personally benefit from it, except the foundation pays for the family travel expenses as disclosed in the organization's Form 990 to the IRS. The disclosure notes that the family, quote, may require the need to travel by charter or in first class because of extraordinary security and other requirements. It doesn't say where they get the money to pay for their mortgages. It comes from the Clinton Foundation, of course. The Clintons get nothing from the foundation except free travel on chartered jets and first-class airline seats and hotel stays and, oh yes, control over a giant operating budget to steer to the charities and good causes that they prefer. They get practically nothing. A new report shows that 60% of Hillary Clinton's charitable donations were to the Clinton Foundation itself. Now, isn't that wonderful news? In any case, within a few days, Rendell had recanted, suggested that President Hillary Clinton would merely need to keep the foundation at arm's length during her term. I think if the secretary becomes president, she obviously can have no further involvement with it. Can't ask for money for the foundation, he said. They may decide to let partners carry on the work for the next 4 to 8 years. Are we talking corruption here? Absolute corruption here. I just don't understand it, why this is permitted to go on. But brings me around to my thought of the day, which I'm going to share right now. This is called Republican spite. Republican spite. Antediluvian creatures like the aging and sickly Hillary Clinton are taking up valuable time. America needs to start its recovery, if it's going to, from its 8-year flirtation in the dark, pitiless world of Marxist politics. Progressivism doesn't work, never has worked, yet it annoyingly hangs around like an unpaid tax bill. In her collapsing campaign, Hillary and the Democrats are getting downright spiteful as well as nasty. That doesn't explain the attitudes of the equally aged politicians, the elite Republicans being pushed out by the spectacular campaign of a total outsider, Donald Trump. They are also in the way, but they can't let go. I call it the Anthony Weiner effect. They just can't quit. The old GOP, now corrupt to the core and unable to stem the tide, the Trump tide, have decided to ignore him. Well, but they can't. And let him pursue his own campaign, occasionally observing that he isn't really one of us. They put out the negative vibes that the base will soon regret that they didn't stick with them, the safe old guards of real conservative Republicans, to save the party and preserve their legacy that they have already lost. They fear the base have fatally decided to grab onto the coattails of the usurper, who they tell us will surely lose. They have all but signaled they would rather see Hillary Clinton as president than the usurper. This is treacherous treason, in my estimation, to the base and to the elite, because the elites do not see the tsunami coming that will destroy them. Maybe it's time to start wearing the I'm with her t-shirt, pointing the arrow, pointing to Hillary. Why is it that Trump alone is the only Republican actively attacking crooked Hillary's record, focusing on her treasonous mishandling of classified material, using unauthorized, which means illegal, personal word servers, and her inept ability demonstrated constantly to govern? Why are those special Republicans who would have us believe they are the true conservatives not taking to the public pulpit daily themselves, excoriating the criminal Clinton machine like Trump does? I think they want her to win so they can stay in business. It's just that plain simple, and that's just plain spite. Also, it's because they're sore losers. Ohio Governor John Kasich is the best example of the sorest, but let us not forget House Speaker Paul Ryan, Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, Mitt Romney, Little Marco, Ted Cruz, and others who have absented themselves from the national campaign, looking apparently to salvaging their own re-election programs. They should still be helping to shine the light on the true nature of the corrupted Democrat Party and their odious campaign champion, lying Hillary. Yet, they're absent. They're with her. I think they will pay. Once we were told that the GOP is Paul Ryan. We heard of his agenda and how Trump must get behind it if he is to succeed. Well, where's that agenda now? It's languishing on his desk. Yes, yet we hear nothing about him anymore except that he got reelected by a blowout in his congressional district, and that is true. But Ryan is House Speaker because he was begged by GOP moderates. He is there by default, not by acclamation. Trump is our presidential candidate because the conservative base wants him there, and the base put him there, and by our choice, not Ryan's choice, not Mitch McConnell's choice, not Romney's choice, and certainly not the Bushes. We remember these kind of people from our childhood day, popular kids who revealed their true character on the school playground when they didn't get their way. They would fold their arms, stand off and huff, pout, and refuse to participate. Now they are our leaders, smooth talkers, set in their ways, just knowledgeable enough to make things happen, but not smart enough to defend their old, self-serving ideas from the new ones. America will suffer for it. Remember, freedom is the goal, and the Constitution is the way. Now, those are the people who are facing the Hillary Clinton machine. The Clinton machine. Look at our government now as the Clinton machine. Obama, he may be on his way out as president, but he's going to have a hand in Clinton's presidency, if only just to keep his legacy. He will be languishing around Washington, D.C. as a pain in the rear end. You know it, and I know it. So anyway, I want to thank you for listening to me for this hour. We've got Oscar Poole coming up with his thoughts in a few minutes. And I want to thank you for watching Good Morning from the Office. And remember, you can get this TV show now on fetchyournews.com, a direct link up, and then hit the little arrow. And do not omit going to fetchyournews.com, where my short takes are available, as well as comments from other people. And that's the news from North Georgia. And and remember, we have a Scott Farrell show coming up here at 10 o'clock. Scott Farrell is the inspirational talker for what does he do? I'm always on the road when he behavioral expert. Yes, yeah. I beg your pardon. I'm sorry about that. He's good. I've listened to him from that door for about 2 minutes, and then I'm off to other things. We done?